4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We do have breaking news in the case of those high-end home burglaries throughout Oakland County that we have been closely following actually since the year 2023. Today, a judge sentenced Ignacio Antonio Ruiz Saldias and 29-year-old from Chile to 10 to 20 years in prison for his role in that major burglary ring. He is part of that South American criminal enterprise that is accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, jewelry, and designer bags, probably into the millions. This is surveillance video from some of those home invasions. Police say that they are linked to this crew where the thieves use high-tech tactics to avoid alarms and security cameras. This same theft group is accused of also hitting homes in Wayne and Kent counties on the west side of the state. For a closer look at those cases and what's been uncovered during the investigation, you can scan that QR code on your screen for a direct connect to the clickondetroit.com section of the story. Fewer crashes and reduced travel time. That's what MDOT is hoping will result from some new rules for ramps along I-96. The ramp meters will take effect later this week on 8 entrance ramps to I-96. This would be between Novi all the way to Milford Road. And Pamela Osborne joins us now live with more on what drivers need to know. And if you travel out of state, you do see these.
Yeah, and I mean, the first question you might be asking yourself, I know I asked myself, is what is ramp metering? Well, it's a system for helping manage traffic on the freeway entrance ramps. For this upcoming project, as you said, we're talking about I-96 between Novi and Milford Roads in Oakland County. So soon, you're going to see traffic lights designed to assist drivers merging onto the freeway during some of those peak traffic times. MDOT says the meters will not only reduce stop-and-go traffic, but they will also reduce crashes and make for shorter travel times. On Wednesday at 6 a.m., the ramp meters will begin to go into operation one at a time over the next couple of weeks. It will certainly take some getting used to. We're going to be speaking with drivers about that and also talking more in depth with MDOT about this project. Look ahead to that story tonight at 5. For now, reporting live, I'm Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
All right, Pamela, thank you. After what's being described as the biggest and most intense manhunt in the history of the state of Minnesota, overnight, federal agents, state and local police captured a suspect in a political assassination over the weekend. A state lawmaker and her husband killed inside of their own home, and a colleague and his wife severely wounded in a separate attack not far away. Jay Gray joins us now outside of the state capitol in St. Paul, Minnesota, with details on that arrest.
Well, we continue to see people adding to a memorial here just outside of the Capitol. And really, they've been showing up since before the sun rose here, bringing flowers, some with candles, notes, flags. This to honor the victims. Representative Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, who were killed in the attack, and then colleagues wounded, Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. They were hunted down, according to police, by Vance Bolter, the man who was captured last night after more than 40 hours on the run. He was captured in a wooded area not that far from his home, about 50 miles from Minneapolis, where the shootings took place. The first break in the case came when police found a car that they believed he had used after the attacks abandoned along the side of the road there. And then as they were out and investigating that and pulling evidence from that vehicle, they said that they got a tip from a neighbor who said they thought they saw him running through the forest. And that's when they began to assemble a huge team of officers, federal agents. They stalked the suspect through the woods using drones at times, a chopper with infrared locators on board, and they continued to narrow in and finally made their move just after nightfall, arresting the 57-year-old. He was called out of the woods and told to crawl to officers. He did have a weapon at the time of his arrest, but we are told that there was no confrontation between law enforcement and the suspect here. Things moving very quickly on the legal side of this as well. We are told that Belter will have his first day in court on this case later this afternoon. So a lot of relief, obviously, that he has been captured here, but still a lot of grief for so many in the Twin Cities as they work through what's happened. That's the very latest from here in St. Paul. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
All right, Jay, thank you for that update. And 4 of the top polling candidates looking to succeed Mike Duggan as mayor of the city of Detroit are just hours from taking the Local 4 debate stage. This is going to be happening on Wayne State University's campus tonight. It's sponsored by Local 4, our partners at the Michigan Chronicle and the AARP. Tonight's participants, you see them on your screen. Santil Jenkins, Solomon Kinlock Jr., Mary Sheffield, and James Craig. Here's Nick Monticelli and Jason Colthorpe with a look at how everything is setting up for this important debate tonight.
Welcome to the Gretchen C. Valet Jazz Center here on the campus of Wayne State University, home of Local 4's mayoral debate, and this guy right here, Jason Colthorpe. The debate starts tonight, 7 o'clock, I believe.
7 o'clock, and we'll actually have a crowd in here.
People will come.
People will come. Each candidate, I think it's 20 tickets for whomever, but they won't have anyone in the front row. That was all kind of agreed upon where they would sit and everything. They'll get, the rest of the crowd will get instructions, let them know, hey, we'd like you not to applaud, not to cheer, boo, all that stuff, until when the candidates get introduced and when we say goodnight. So hopefully they're well behaved, and we know that sometimes the crowd likes to get involved, but hopefully not.
Speaking of well-behaved, are you expecting this to be a contentious debate? Do you think it'll be?
I don't know. I was asking a couple of insiders on Flashpoint. I feel like each of the 4 candidates could have a very distinct game plan.
Sure.
Then that just goes back to the polling that we did, which is also important to point out how we chose these 4 candidates, which we put a poll in the field with Detroit News, conducted by Glenn Gariff Group. And it basically said, and we're asking Detroit voters, not just Detroit voters, ones who plan to vote in the primary, who would you vote for right now? Anyone who got 10% or counting the plus minus of 4%, okay. So 6% or higher was invited, and that was these 4 candidates. But the same poll also asked Detroiters, hey, what's most important to you? So it's also important to point out the questions aren't Jason Colthorpe's questions or Channel 4's or even, our partners with the Michigan Chronicle will have a question and the AARP, but these are questions that come directly from Detroiters. These are your issues in the most important, ranked in the order of importance that you have them. So
are we allowed to say what they are yet? We probably shouldn't.
Questions?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Come on. Our web team actually was like, hey, do you have an idea? I'm like, whoa. I'm gonna have to get clearance just
under wraps for a little while.
Show you the topics there.
What I found interesting so far, the conversations I've had in Detroit, people are, I don't know if concerned is the right word, but they're waiting to see whoever the next mayor is going to be, how they're going to fill the shoes of Mike Duggan.
Right.
You look at him running as an independent for governor is very telling in the way that his mind has worked on trying to get things done in the city of Detroit. Mm-hmm. And whoever the next mayor is probably needs to do the exact same thing, because Detroit is on the right path right now, but that's because you've got both sides, they all working together to get most of the things done. I don't think the revitalization would have happened without his leadership and bringing in all the corporate money and all the partners and both sides of the aisle to the same table.
And that's been a topic that these candidates have gotten asked, as well as other ones. How do you plan to keep that going? And most of them kind of coalesce around the idea that we're going to keep on with the business community and do what he did there. But what these candidates in this race, at least the ones I've heard speak, say that they'll do differently than Mike Duggan is pay more attention to the neighborhoods. Okay. The message has got to get out past downtown. Now, if you talk to Mike Duggan, he would argue that that's a big misnomer, that he hasn't done enough in the neighborhoods. That's his argument, not mine. But that the candidates are trying to separate themselves in that way, and yet in other ways trying to also make sure that, you know, if you liked what you saw because of A, B, and C, then I'm going to keep that going, that sort of thing. And the business community rallying them around has been one of the rallying calls.
So this is the stand. This is where you're going to be, right here.
Right there.
This is it.
Yep.
The Jason Colthorpe. Oh, don't.
You get a little
there's
sneak
notes back
peek.
there. Don't look.
There's notes.
Don't look.
There's questions under there somewhere.
Okay, 7 o'clock tonight. Good luck. Have fun, man.
All right. Well, I don't know about fun, but we'll show up. We'll give it a go.
And something tells me that audience, albeit they're supposed to be quiet, will definitely have some ughs and ohs and yays here and there. So we are looking forward to this debate tonight, only here on Local 4 and Local 4 Plus. It is your chance to hear where the candidates stand on the issues that matter most to you. As you heard from Jason, these are your questions if you are a Detroit resident, and this is all information you need before you cast your August 5th primary vote. This also means that Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, which normally air tonight at 7 and 7:30, will not be here on Local 4, but they will air at their normal times on MeTV, with both programs returning to normal programming tomorrow night. So make sure you're tuned in tonight to the debate. Let's get over to Ashley and take a look at our forecast following such a gorgeous weekend. Let's keep it going.
You know, it's been kind of a slow start to the unofficial start of summer, but finally feeling that summer-like heat as temperatures will be rising in the low 80s this afternoon. We'll hold on to a mix of sun and clouds, so we're dry today. Then we're looking at some spotty chances tomorrow before better chances for rain by midweek. But our winds will be shifting out of the south-southeast 5 to 10 miles per hour through the afternoon, and that will continue to usher in some warmth over the next couple of days. So grab the shades this afternoon, but the heat and humidity will eventually bring us some strong to severe storm chances through the middle of the week. However, 80s through the work week, either side of 90 this weekend. So we definitely have some pool days in the forecast. Give you a little sneak peek at how those temperatures are rising this weekend. We're going to break down that storm timeline for you on Wednesday coming up.